Everyone's talking about AI tools, but here's what's not being talked about enough: how to drive real business value from those tools. In this video, you'll learn about the 7 major lessons we've learned helping businesses implement AI so you don't make the same mistakes we did and get all the benefits. Let's accelerate your business. Welcome to the AI Accelerator for Business show, where you get the latest strategies, tactics, and information about the business benefits of artificial intelligence. My name is Carl Ye, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jeff Bradshaw. And today we're talking about the lessons we've actually learned helping businesses implement AI for their company. We've talked to so many businesses, and I think, worked with so many businesses. And I just want to share with our audience some of the things that we've learned doing that, because I think there's still some misconceptions about what AI could do, what AI can do. And we talked about this in a previous episode where, the expectations of what AI can do is really a little bit different than what AI could actually do, right? There's that different belief. With that belief comes, AI can't really do anything, so I'm either not going to use it or I don't believe that there's an actual use for it.
Well, Carl, I think, if your AI efforts are not aligned with your business goals and grounded in real problems, you're just playing with tools. And you always say this in our meetings. So you've got these 7 truths to help ensure the AI strategy actually delivers results that I think are very imperative and things that we see, weekly in our business.
So the first one is that no two businesses are alike, right? Their processes and workflows are very different. You could have the exact same business in the exact same industry, complete competitors, and they work completely different systems, different workflows, all those things. So this is why a simple AI template, AI automation, lead generation things, like how will that work? What will the software integrations be? How will that fit with the entire business process of that company? How can you impact change management? Like, those are the questions that you need to ask before you actually implement. And how do you know? You're just making the assumption that lead generation is their main priority. On the face of it, it probably, it is a priority, but there's other things that AI could do for that business that could be a lot better. And I think that leads into number 2, is why we do discovery sessions, because we need to find out what those pain points and those issues are based around the company's workflows and workflows and processes, rather than just leading with the solution first.
I think a lot of the time it's a square peg round hole situation where people, have a software company come in that has a specific solution that they're trying to create this solution for everybody that's in the marketplace. But because each of the businesses, and we see this day in, day out, you could see 2 home builders or 2 accounting firms or 2 manufacturing companies do the same thing, and yet their internal operations are totally different. I think that's the problem, is people buy into these AI tools and then they say, well, it doesn't really, fit what we're doing. Well, it's because you didn't look at, like you say, the problem first and then the solution second.
And this is where those discoveries actually make sense, because we can listen to what are the things that the employees, we call it the eye roll test, they eye roll daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly of some tasks they have to keep doing that AI could help. And then if you do the discovery across multiple business units, then you'll know it's like, hey, there is very similar issues or processes here that AI then can solve across, not just for one business unit, and then it'll have a better effect for the entire business.
Well, and again, I always use this analogy. It's not a great one, but it's like we are like doctors in the fact that if we just came in and prescribed the same solution to everybody, that would mean that it's going to work for some and it's not going to work for others. Whereas if we actually sit down with these companies, we identify the challenges, the problems they have, those data-driven, repetitive tasks, predictive tasks, we can then say, okay, for your particular solution, here's the AI solutions that we feel will, help you the best, kind of short term, medium term, and longer term, as opposed to just one blanket fix, for everybody we meet with.
And I think also too, we don't know, or people and other AI consultants agencies don't know, unless they do discovery, what the actual priority of a business is. Like, on the face of it, it could be one thing, but when you talk to multiple departments, it's actually a much different element. We actually work with a municipality where we did discoveries for all 8 for 8 departments, and we came up with a recommended pilot list. But it's funny because we didn't even know the number one priority was for a different department, was for the fire department. And in fact, that superseded everything. But I don't think they actually would have they would have come to that conclusion unless we actually did the discovery, presented all the summaries and what potentials they could have in each department. And then from there, they figured out, oh, you can actually do these things. We're going to prioritize that one. And then some of the solutions we actually recommended cross different departments, will help multiple departments and level everybody up.
Another example, we worked with a construction company, and the fact is that we saw this problem through a number of departments, and what it really came back down to is getting clean data from the guys out in the field. So if we can provide a solution to get better data from the guys in the field, it has a ripple effect through the project managers, through the HR department, through the accounting department, and it fixing the root of the problem using some AI tools can help resolve multiple challenges throughout the organization.
The next thing that we talk about, like one of the lessons that we've learned, is simple AI solutions really solve big problems. Like the most common thing I've seen is either using free large language models, a simple custom GPT, Claude Project, Google Gemini Gems, so I think that's what it's called, or a Microsoft Copilot agent that can serve like 60% of those workflows and processes that we learn about. Not some complex, huge automation, not some massive like digital assistant that needs to connect with all this data. Like it's those very simple solutions that hit the 10 to 40% that immediately improves productivity, efficiency, and that you can see ROI right away. Not, which is a big question, like when can I see return on investment with AI? It's like, well, you can see it right away, but if you didn't do the discovery, then you wouldn't have known that these are the issues, which then you may have implemented a tool like Copilot or another AI tool that then it doesn't hit what the issues in your businesses are.
We go into client meetings and you ask the question, who here uses AI? And everybody puts their hand up, or most people put their hand up. And then you ask them a simple question like, who uses the advanced voice mode on ChatGPT? And nobody puts their hands up. And that just tells us that people are really using surface level solutions for their AI tools. And again, through some discovery, through some identification of some of the challenges and some recommendations, they could be using, maybe 10 or 15% of the power of some of these large language models to solve these problems. The thing about it, though, is that it goes back to what we previously talked about, is that they want this big, huge solution to solve their entire operation, this big problem. And we talk about that 10 to 40%. AI can help you today with the 10 to 40% efficiency improvement. But if you take a look at that, that's still a huge step. If you can improve a process by 20%, or you can save 20% of your hours, that's like adding 20% necessarily to the bottom line.
The next lesson we've learned is also integration is a pretty big deal breaker, right? Whether it's an automation or digital assistant or anything, this is why like templated solutions doesn't make any sense for me for long-term sustainability or AI adoption sustainability. Because so many companies have a very niche, unique software that they use, or different versions. Again, going back to no two businesses, processes, workflows, software are alike. That integration is key because you can have the best AI solution perfectly aligned with the business goals. But if it can't connect with some of these systems, or the people have to do extra work to get an AI to work, it doesn't make any sense.
No, absolutely. And I mean, and that's one of the challenges too. Like that's the challenge, is that sometimes these systems are so archaic. But again, I think if it is archaic and it doesn't work, start taking baby steps to figure out how you can integrate it. Start with one simple process, and then maybe, you can figure out other ways to integrate it.
Well, I think that the challenge there too is some of these systems have been so weaved into how people do work that their work is reliant on the system. And without the system, that person might not be there. Or what am I supposed to do now? Because it's part of my role to be the workaround of this legacy system, which we're not sure why a company would keep it, but it always goes back to let's use my dad as an example. He has his client database in a separate computer that runs, I think, on Windows 95. And he has never actually digitized or moved those client bases up to the cloud, but he has a separate desktop that runs it. And I always jokes like, well, at least it's not hackable because no one like runs Windows 95 and I don't think it's connected to the internet. So that it's one of the most secure yet inefficient ways to do things. And so, but that's kind of what we're looking at. And again, you can't know about this, none of the templated solutions you're trying to sell to companies until you actually do discover and figure this out. It's like, hey, that AI automation that you're presenting, it can't work because they don't use it. They don't run Excel that way, or it doesn't even get to Excel on because they have this crazy data or ERP that's been around for 25 years, and that's where the data is going. So the system just doesn't work.
And a lot of people, though, it's if it's not broken, don't fix it mentality. And I agree with that, but it also gets to a point where, again, if your system's so archaic, and I guess, and we know, and this is the next one you have here, but people are resistant to change because change can be challenging, can be frustrating. Some people can't necessarily see the benefits of change. It's like, why am I changing when this system works good? But it's kind of like, you got to get over that hump so they see what's possible on the other side. And that's not always easy to do.
Well, and that's what it means. Like the change management piece has to be part of your AI plan and strategy implementation, because we're not talking just about AI adoption. I always like talk about AI adoption sustainability. Will people be using this tool, solution, process 3 months from now? Because that's where you see compounded benefits. But if they're only using it for a month, this is cool, but I only use it a couple times, or I can, you know what, I'm going to go back to the system that I'm most comfortable with, connected to the software that I know the best. I know I'm not efficient. I know it can do things 10 times faster, but I'm comfortable with it. And I can nearly guarantee every single time the output. And I think that's how do you break that habit? How do you change that perception? And without that kind of plan, implementing the tech is actually the easiest thing.
Totally. I mean, the change management is huge, and that's why we're pulled in a lot. And part of our plans that we talk to people about is not just implementing the new tech. It's like, how are we going to get people to use this? Because otherwise, the return on investment isn't going to be there if we come in with these great solutions, but nobody's willing to use it. And I think that, and again, and that kind of leads to your next point. Number 6 here is really, don't underestimate AI education, because that's where if we can start to educate people and they can understand it and it seems less intimidating, then it's a little bit easier for them to go, okay, I'll dip my toe in the water and try this out. And, oh, geez, that worked well. Maybe I'll try something else. And so I think that goes part and parcel with the whole change management is the education.
Well, we've seen many companies have pockets of people using AI with pockets of varying skill levels. But what we don't see, and that's, I guess, why we're there, is where is the unified business approach to leveraging AI completely for the business, rather than you have pockets of people just using it to try to do their job better. And sometimes when we see that, and we've got this multiple times, you have that couple people in the business that says, oh, I know AI, we're good. And then when we do the discovery, it's like, wait a second, we're not touting our own horn like we're always learning about AI too, but it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Or, hey, we could actually do a lot more. So I'm always surprised about when somebody says, oh, we're good, we know it's okay, cool. That means we can take, like we can talk higher level AI and we can do that. But a lot of the times I'm surprised it's still basic. We have to go right back to the basics because what they perceive as understanding AI is not what we see on a daily basis.
Well, but and we get caught up in this too. Sometimes we get so far ahead of ourselves and we start talking about the latest and greatest. Like we're out talking about agents and all of these new tools. We forget that 99% of the people in the world don't even know the very basic applications and how to use a large language model like a ChatGPT. And so I think sometimes we got to kind of reel it back and go, okay, it's a great tool, but we're not even leveraging it for a full potential. And I think when we meet with some of these people that do have experience and have used AI on a higher level, I don't think the approach should be, well, great, do your thing. I think it's like when you pull 2 accountants together or 2 lawyers or 2 doctors who are well educated, they still talk and collaborate and learn from each other to try and figure out how to use the technology even better. And they share a level of knowledge that I think is actually quite exciting, because we can brainstorm with people that have used it, and we don't have to kind of go to the basics of explaining what it is. We can dig into how do we collaborate and figure out how to make this even more powerful together.
I think one last thing in terms of education, AI education, AI literacy there is, if you have a group of certain pockets that are truly advanced, they know a little bit more about AI, then what happens if your entire organization is leveled up just by 20%, understanding basics of prompting, understanding different uses for different language models, different image models, video, right? Automations. And we're not talking complex. We're just if you level your entire company up just by 10%, 15%, so they know how to use AI just a little bit more, you don't have to implement anything. How much better is your business? So rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that's what we're talking about. It's like that education piece is actually super undervalued still.
Oh, I think to me that's a snowball going down a hill. I mean, you get a team up 20% of their education on AI, and they start chatting internally about it. I mean, that's only gonna, create good things.
And then I want to talk about the final thing, which is, no matter what we do with AI, if it doesn't meet the business goals, we're just playing with a tool. And I love playing with tools, right? They're so fun. But what's the point of using it if it doesn't move the business where it wants to go? And the business goal, we've heard this so many times, because of the hype, we should be using AI. That is the goal. I'm like, that's not a goal at all. I was like, you'll waste. This is where a lot of money is wasted, is because you're trying these tools, you're paying subscriptions, you're paying all that, but you're not really solving anything. You're just.
And we see that too often, where people are wasting money because they want to get in the game and they make a bad investment. And, we always say that before you spend any money, truly think about the application, the outcome, and the goal you're trying to achieve here. Because the goal, like you say, if it's just about using AI, you're going to piss away a lot of money real quick.
And I also think too, if that was the goal, this is where people won't see the benefits of it, because it doesn't tie to increased productivity, efficiency, and no measurement around it. It's just, it kind of works for me, but for my use case, it doesn't work, or this use case, it doesn't work. So you don't actually know what processes. And we even had someone talk to us yesterday saying, and it's always a regular thing, yeah, we bought a whole bunch of licenses for Copilot. And I hate picking on Copilot. I kind of do, but it could be any tool. We bought this tool, we bought these licenses, but we never actually whiteboarded what we think are problems it could solve, but we never actually talked to anybody and what their problems and processes and workflows were, where that's really where the benefit of AI could really go, and how it can help alleviate some of those repetitive, mundane tasks. But no one talked to anybody about it. So you just kind of made it up. And now you only have 10% of the people using this tool because it never actually aligned with the problems and the issues, or where the business wants to go. And then we get called, hey, could you help us retrain everybody, because we already spent the money and we've got to justify it. So you should have thought about that before buying the tool.
Yeah. And again, I think it is, if your goal is to grow by a certain amount, or to improve your products or service, or to improve internal culture, whatever those goals are, AI can help. Absolutely. 100%. But if your goal is just to keep up with the Joneses and, have herd mentality and do it because other people are doing it, honestly, keep your money, save that money, keep it in the bank. You're going to be better off in the longer term, until such time when you're serious about having a focus as to kind of how AI can improve your operations.
So for our business audiences out there, have you done a true discovery process before launching any AI initiatives? Are your teams equipped with basic AI skills, like knowing other type of models, just even that skill, understanding what certain models are, or even how to actually properly prompt? Learn more about implementing AI for your business by watching these videos here. Enjoy today's episode? Want to learn how AI can impact your business? Then please subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next episode.